Hey everybody, and welcome to another episode of the BJJ Foxcast. I am your host, Alex Martinez, and today I am very excited to have Almine Barton on the show. She is a purple belt under Sophia McDermot. How long have you been training?
Almost 11 years.
11 years. She is a rock climber, and she's been doing rock climbing for 20 plus years, and she's been ice climbing for 11 years. Now, we'll have to talk about the ice thing because you said two different kinds of ice climbing, but they both scare the shit out of me. She's an acupuncturist, a doctor of Chinese medicine for how many years now?
Over 2 decades. I think we're almost going on 24 years.
Wow, nice. And she's a dog owner. She's a dog mom of some very rambunctious huskies. What? Okay, I got to start there. What made you choose huskies? That is like, of all of the animals,
Right.
like I'm thinking like badger, you know what I mean? That would be above a husky, maybe a gorilla, you know what I mean? I don't understand it. They're cute, but they're loud. They're just loud and
They're super loud. And yeah, zero F's given. I don't know how much I can swear on here, but like
swear away.
They do not care about me. They don't care about you. They don't care about any of us. Like we are all beneath them.
Yeah. Oh my gosh.
My father was born and raised in Alaska.
Okay.
So that's that whole connection.
Yeah.
My grandma was a bush pilot, and she also ran sled dogs.
What? That is cool.
So that's a whole other rabbit hole. But yeah, she was a big hunter. She was her specialty actually was winter storms. She was a storm pilot.
No kidding.
Yeah, she went out and basically found people when search and rescue was like, we're out.
Wow.
We're done.
Wow.
And she had teams of sled dogs, and so they've just kind of been in the family, and here we go.
Yeah. Did you ever see that show Life Below Zero? Do you ever see that show? I don't watch a lot of television, but I was hooked. I was hooked on that show.
I television. I like YouTube things,
right.
I Netflix things, but no, I haven't.
So be very careful because you're gonna get hooked. These folks are amazing. They are amazing. So there was one lady who lived alone in Alaska, middle of nowhere, and she was attacked by a bear. Okay, had to go to the hospital. It was bad. She got back home, hunted the bear down, killed it, and ate it. She is my superhero, man. That is like as gangster as it gets.
Okay. I don't know how to follow that. Like, what the fuck? I mean, that's so like matriarchal version of Legends of the Fall
100%.
Or something. Like, you spill my blood, I spill yours. We're one with the Great Spirit now. Like, what's going on there?
And the cool thing the cool thing was it wasn't even like a personal thing. She's just like, there's a bear around. I'm gonna kill it, and she hunted it down and killed it. So I'm sure your grandmother has like stories like that. She's just holding out on you. Yeah.
So she, my father was one of 4 kids.
Okay.
And her husband was a bush pilot.
Got it.
My grandpa was.
Yeah.
And he was, God love that man, the biggest klutz in the world. He was always getting, stuck in winter storms, and he was always getting lost for 2-3 weeks at a time, and nobody could find him. And so that's actually why she became a bush pilot, is to find her husband. So what she used to do was hand my dad, who was the oldest, a rifle and be like, I'll be back in 2 weeks.
Yeah.
And my dad was stuck on this little houseboat in between 2 glaciers with a rifle and 3 little kids.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. I was Grandma Barton. And Grandma Barton, man, that woman swam between those glaciers. You want to talk Wim Hof.
Wow.
She also did the first ultra marathon across the Yukon at 58.
Whoa.
Like, nobody asked with Grandma Barton. Like, Grandma Barton, like, she hunted dinner.
Yeah.
She was a storm pilot. She swam between glaciers for kicks and giggles. Like, oh yeah.
Whoa. Now, did she land like the airplane like on the water? You know, with the little wow. Yep. What are they? I don't know what they call that, but that's really cool.
I don't either.
Yeah, I don't know. It's like I don't know. It's instead of wheels, you have like little canoes sort of looking things on the as a
little hovercrafts.
Yeah, something like that to get you. Yeah, so you don't drown. But that's interesting, man. Now, do you spend any time in Alaska?
I went up there for the first time with my father. He wanted to show all three of us adult
Oh,
kids
nice.
where he grew up. And so I
Yeah.
went up there for the first time 4 years ago
Wow.
with him pre-pandemic, 4 years ago. And I mean, I feel like I'm not worthy like to say this, but I would walk into different, little like hole in the wall taverns, right? Where everybody literally like in a movie looks at you when you walk in. You're like, you're
Yeah.
not from there.
Right.
And I'll never forget this. I walked into like a little hole in the wall tavern and everybody stopped and I was like, hey, just visiting. How's it going? I just want a burger. And they're like, are you Joellen Barton's granddaughter? And I was like, yeah, I am. And they're like, she was the most stoic fucking woman you have ever met in your life.
Oh.
Like, she was the best pilot in this area. And I was just like,
yeah,
like,
I would
I'm
hold
not
it together.
worthy.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I just like, it was very touching to me to
yeah.
talk to people that knew her, that, flew with her, and
Yeah.
people that she had actually rescued.
What?
Yeah. I talked to a man in the tavern that she actually rescued him.
Oh man, that
Just
must
like
have been
it was just
so
super
amazing.
Cool. But that's the whole Husky connection.
Right, the whole right.
Just to make a short story long,
Full
but
circle.
yeah, that's the whole Husky connection, the whole Alaska connection on my dad's side.
Wow, that's so cool. Yeah. So I met a guy named Mike, and Mike is a young dude, maybe in his mid-20s. He was an engineer-ish kind of he worked in the engineering field, but I think his degree was in biology of some sort. And he was miserable in his job, and he was living in Arizona, and his wife at the time basically put in an application for him to work at a fishery in Alaska.
Wow.
And he got the job. It ultimately ruined his marriage. I think I got the story right.
Yeah. But you think maybe?
Yeah. So now he still works at the fishery part of the year during the season, and then he lives on Maui the other 6 months out of the year. So his life doesn't.
That works.
Yeah, his life.
Out.
Yeah. He thaws out. Yeah, but he said, like, when you go to Hawaii, you're like in awe of all the beauty. I mean, I'm convinced that if you took a tin can and buried it in Hawaii, a tree would grow. It's just that fertile. I mean, it's just an amazing place. But he says that Alaska was the only place he's ever been where the scenery doesn't disappoint. Like, you can see all the pictures in the world of places, and then you go there, you're like, oh, okay, Grand Canyon, kind of cool. But Alaska, you're like, oh my gosh, this is just like a portrait. It's just so beautiful there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's interesting you say that. So my mother is from South Africa, and where she grew up was like bordering Namibia.
Wow.
So bordering the Namib Desert. So she, in and of herself, is like just a storybook.
Yeah.
Okay. She's the Jungle Book.
Yeah.
I always joke and say I'm like half ice, half fire, because like basically my parents are like give zero fucks parents. Like my dad's like Captain No Feels. Like he's like, oh, I'm sorry, are you done? Right? And I'm like, no. And he's like, then you have an issue, not a problem.
Oh,
and I'm like,
wow.
Oh yeah. And then you talk to Almine Senior, my mom.
Yeah.
And she's like, I'm sorry, are you being chased by a lion? And I'm like, no. And she's like, well, that happened to me every day going to school. So you have an issue. You don't actually have a problem.
Wow.
And so like they're extremes. Like they grew up in each very extreme environments.
Yeah.
So to them, like any like first world problem is actually a first world issue.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, everything around them evolved to kill people.
No, 100%. And so 2019, their summer or winter 2019, I was in South Africa with her family. They're all climbers, surfers, they all do jujitsu. Like my cousins are rad.
Awesome.
And I go train at Henzo Gracie in Cape Town. That's like my like home base whenever I go back to South Africa. It's just so cool.
Yeah.
But when I went and saw where she grew up, I was like, okay, polar bears or rabid hyenas. Okay, like I get it. Like I get why they were just like, oh, wow, your bone's sticking out of your leg.
Yeah.
It's a good thing that's not happening in -80.
Right. Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. Hours from the nearest town, much less hospital. So,
yeah. Oh yeah. Then you get the little Billy in Alaska had to walk, through -40 with hot potatoes in my pockets to not die. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. So it's just yeah.
That's
like
awesome.
Every little thing. I just grew up they were very I think it was tough love. Definitely.
Yeah. And being that close to, that generation, that the generation that went through all of that, it gives you a lot of perspective. Like for me, the perspective is I'm one generation removed from fields. You know what I mean?
Right?
My
100%.
My aunts and uncles did that, and they got themselves out of it, got educated, stuff like that. But when you're that close, you get you have an issue, not a problem, right?
No, Big Daddy Bill is gonna close that down. He's yeah, that's an issue, and it's a first world issue.
Yeah.
You're not dying in the tundra.
Right.
That's a problem.
Yeah.
That's a bona fide problem.
And to put it in some kind of context for me is I've been on hikes, right? And I'm within striking distance of town. So if they really needed to find me, there'd be a search party helicopter or something that can come get me. So it's not that big a deal. And it would be a couple of hours, right? Not days. But when I'm out there, and let's just say maybe you're a little lost, not completely lost. You know where out is, but you don't know where the trail is, and you're out of water, right? And you've been hiking for at least 5 hours. There's going to be 5 hours out.
A couple times, in very high places.
Yeah. And that's a little scary, right?
That starts to careen into problem zone.
Yeah. But
when you're high, when it's really high, you're
yeah.
We're moving from issue zone into problem zone.
Yeah, because now you're looking at hypothermia, you're looking at wild animals, you're looking at a lot the darkness. It's you can't appreciate how dark it is unless you're in a forest. That is butthole dark. That is
well said.
Yeah, that's really
just
bad.
Circling the wagons really quick back to what you said about the scenery of Alaska. So my dad came with me when I went to South Africa last time.
Yeah.
And he and I actually had been to South Africa several times to see my family, but I'd never officially done a safari.
Oh, okay.
I've been to 22 countries. I've lived all over the world, but I'm why haven't I done a safari?
Yeah.
So I go to Kruger National Park, and my father and I are doing this safari together. And he looked at me and he said, I can die now. I literally, if the earth swallowed me up, I am happy. Wow. I just saw nature at its, he's I thought Alaska was massive, but that actually was something we talked about, that I've been in the Amazon for an extended period of time, all kinds of places, the Himalayas, I've trekked through the Andes, all the things, right?
Yeah.
He and I were in South Africa in Kruger National Park looking at the massiveness of these animals. And he's the only thing in my entire life that I can liken this to is Alaska. Because Alaska, everything is massive.
Yeah.
Every animal is massive. The mountains, you have Denali. Massive. There is nothing small in Alaska.
Yeah.
The only other time that I've actually experienced that, even living in the Himalayas and all the places I've been, was South Africa, doing a safari in Kruger. I was no, this is Alaska massive.
Yeah, that's...
So there were really interesting parallels there.
Yeah.
Between the scenery and the landscape of Alaska and that in Kruger. Wow. I was mind blown.
Wow, that's so cool.
Yeah.
And it's two extremes of the same. It's hard to believe it's the same planet, right? It's
yin and yang of each other. Yeah. And they're just, you feel the only other time I really felt I'm on another planet was in the Amazon.
Wow.
Yeah. That's sci-fi. That's that's a different level.
Yeah. So let's talk about that a little bit. You had mentioned the Himalayas and living. You actually live there.
Yep.
Wow. What brought you out there?
Oh, geez. Where do I start there? My undergraduate degree is in medical anthropology. Mm-hmm. In 3 out of 4 years of that degree, I interned in hospitals from the tip of South India all the way through the Himalayas.
Wow.
And I feel very, very blessed and grateful to say that my supervising doctor that I did almost all of my undergrad with was the Dalai Lama's physician.
Whoa, so
He
cool.
was a 19th generation doctor from Tibet.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
That is an extraordinary human being. That's a walking encyclopedia of thousands of years old, centuries of Tibetan medicine.
Yeah, and does she work in a hospital setting? Does she do private practice? How does that work?
I would say her private practice is the Dalai Lama.
Yeah, I can imagine. Yeah.
Everyone else, she sees over 125 patients a day.
Wow.
At a Tibetan refugee hospital.
Wow.
Yeah. So I was like, it was a fluke that I ended up under her tutelage. So most of my internship hours in Eastern medicine were actually done there.
Wow, that's
so
awesome.
I feel really blessed.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
How did you make that connection? How did that work? 'Cause I can't imagine you went into your undergrad thinking, I might live in the Himalayas one day. I mean, how did that progress? Or did you?
So, okay, so this is kind of interesting. In my undergrad, I had like an academic crush on various ethnobotanists and medical anthropologists. They were just like the Indiana Jones to me.
Nice.
They were just like so freaking cool. Just these weird ass scientists in the jungles. I was just like, these people are just grit, man.
Yeah.
Like I want to go and study what they know. And I'll never forget this. I ended up in this, I guess you'd say, research village in the Peruvian Amazon. And I was there for 4 months. And scientists that are in jungles for long periods of time are fucking weird dudes. Like, their parties, like, whoa, they get lit in that jungle,
No
right?
kidding.
So I was sitting there and I'm just like this little like no-name coffee fetching girl Tuesday to a National Geographic ethnobotanist who like I like fangirled out on like all of her articles, and like he was kind of the Sean Connery medicine man.
Wow.
Right?
That's cool.
Of National Geographic. Oops, you froze. I just want to make sure.
Okay.
Okay, there
That's
you
okay.
go.
We're good. Yeah.
So she was kind of the Sean Connery,
Yeah.
Medicine man of her day.
Wow.
Back in my undergrad. And I was like, I'm going to write this woman a letter.
Yeah.
Like just like a total fan.
Yeah.
And be like, I will fetch your coffee every morning. I will shine your shoes. Let me follow you around in the Amazon and just learn from you. And she called me one day.
Whoa.
And I was just like, whoa. And she's like, is this Almine Barton? And I'm like, Jesus, I don't know. I think I was like 21. And I'm like, yeah. She's like, this is Dr. So-and-so. And I was like, oh my God. And she's like, so when can you get down here? And I'm like, I mean, I am not worthy, right?
Yeah.
Wayne's World, totally not worthy.
Yeah.
Flying down to the Amazon, and I basically shadow her for months. And one day, getting to your question about the Tibetan doctor and all this, she just gets lit, Alex. She's just like drinking. And this is what they do at the end of the day. They're tired of cataloging plants.
Yeah.
They have no significant others.
Yeah.
They have a whole lot of body hair. They stink. They're just in humidity. Like, these are some funky human beings, right?
Yeah.
And kind of Ram Dass hippie, kind of little interesting, right?
Yeah.
She's drinking and she looks at me across the fire and she's like, you don't want to end up like me. And I'm like, what? And she's like, this is a lonely life. A lonely life. You're going to be down in jungles. You're not going to see anybody for weeks. You're not going to have probably a significant other. Yeah. She's like, save yourself. Like, she was like, this is no place for a young lady. And I'm like, but you're so freaking cool. And she's like, go to India. I'll write you an introduction to a hospital there. You want to study like ethnobotany and like medicine and like medical systems of the world. I have a doctor friend over there. I'll write you an intro. Just go over there, save yourself. Like, and she was drunk as all hell.
Yeah.
And she, get out of these jungles. There's no future for you here. Look at me. I'm single. I haven't been with anybody in years. And I kind of started to believe her. I was like, okay, yeah, like maybe I shouldn't be down here for a while.
Wow.
Like, you're not the best PSA for this lady, right? Like, I was kind of stoked, and now I'm looking at you and I'm like, I don't know if I want to go this route.
Yeah.
And I end up flying to India.
It sounded like a scared straight kind of situation. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, don't do this. You'll end up like me. But
right.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Totally. I'm just like, again, like hair unkept and just super like werewolf looking.
Yeah.
She was just cool. I thought she was cool.
Yeah.
But so she writes me an intro to a hospital in what's called Varanasi or Benares, India. And that's considered the holiest city in India. And I get there, and I actually, in all my travels, never been sick a day in my life. The one time, because I mean, I've stayed in monasteries all over the world, like $1 a day, like rat infested shit.
Yeah.
Right. The one time I decide to splurge, I rent a hotel room for $10. I eat room service. I don't know what was in that garden burger because there's no meat allowed in the city.
Right.
I don't know what was in it. I have never been that sick in my life. Like I actually passed out. I hit my head so hard from vomiting. Not a fun combo, but it's true.
Yeah.
Like blood all over the bathroom floor. Housekeeping found me. They took me to a hospital there, which was not the hospital that I have the intro at all. And I wake up and there's acupuncture needles all over me.
Whoa.
And I'm just like, what's going on? Like, oh my God. And I'm looking around and I'm just like, I don't even know where I'm at.
You're
like,
alone, by the way, right? Did you go there alone?
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Holy shit.
I hitchhiked across India at 17. 17 by myself. I put the poor fear of God in my parents since conception. I mean, just like my poor parents, God bless them. They're just amazing. They're saints.
Yeah.
Right. So I wake up with just like acupuncture needles all over me. And I'm just like, what's going on, man? Like, I don't know where I'm at. I don't know I'm totally disoriented. And Dr. Bhuti, who is the Dalai Lama's physician, I don't even know how I scored her, but she walks over and she goes, welcome to your profession. And I was like,
oh shit.
What are you talking about? I was like, what just happened? She goes, you passed out for half a day.
Wow.
And I was like, I don't even remember. I remember falling on the bathroom floor, and she's like, you were brought here because you were meant to find your profession. And I was like, what?
Whoa.
Like, I'm like, what's going on? You know?
Yeah.
And to make a long story short, I ended up staying there for another year.
Wow.
Yeah. And I interned with her. And I mean, it was an absolute privilege.
Yeah.
I love India. I'm going back this November to teach jujitsu.
Nice.
This time, I can't wait. I can't wait.
Yeah.
I love India.
So
raw.
So she now the introduction had already been made. So she kind of knew that you were going to be there. Is that what
I guess. Like, I literally don't know. I don't know what to tell you. Like, I woke up and there she was.
Wow.
And she was like, welcome to your profession. And I'm like, I don't know what you're talking about. Like, I was there studying systems of medicine academically, but I never thought of being a provider or like a practitioner myself ever.
Yeah. Yeah.
I was more like chronicling Tibetan medical texts and like things like that. I was more like going that route.
Yeah.
So I wasn't planning on like doing this.
Yeah. And what's the balance out there with Eastern and Western medicine? Like, is there a balance there, or do they
very much so?
Yeah. Yeah. How
I think so. In fact, I think that honestly, from what I've seen, I think some of the best surgeons in the world are out of India.
Wow. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. My doctor here is from India. He's amazing. Like he and I'm an oversharer. So I tell him,
Yay!
yes, I tell him
Obviously,
everything. Yeah.
I am.
I tell him everything, and he's like, okay, well, we're gonna try this, and he does a lot of things. Like, yes, he can prescribe me, and he would prescribe me anything I asked him to prescribe. Sure. But I always ask him, like, is there an alternative? Is there something I can do? Maybe what I'm eating or something like that. And he'll say, well, try this, try that, and make an appointment, see if you feel any better. And it helps me mentally to realize that he's not just trying to load me with drugs. You know what I mean?
100%.
So yeah, he's a 100%.
Yeah. And I'm all for drugs when they're appropriate. Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah. Like, God bless them. Like trauma medicine, like, thank you. Yeah. Right? Like, we need that.
Yeah, for sure.
And it's not preventative speaking of which, I have huskies now trying to barrel in here, but
fake your thumbs.
Right, they're just here for the ride, Alex. Okay, we're gonna back up and shut this door with a chair, but it doesn't keep you out of the hospital.
Right. Yeah.
God bless the hospital and thank you for it when we need it. But what can help keep us out of the hospital? They're both needed.
No, I love that. Yeah, that's
they're
good.
both needed. Absolutely.
Yeah, and actually, I had a friend of mine, Vin, on the podcast last week, and we talked about. Sometimes I listen to what I say, and I'm like, oh, just poor choice of words. But But I mean it in the nicest way possible, I guess. But I have friends, right, who are my age or older, who have dedicated their entire lives to their kids, and that's awesome. That's awesome.
Sure.
But to what end? To what end?
I have no kids, by the way, so you can go there, whatever. Yeah.
But they come to me. I own an academy, and I help people get back in shape, and they're just like really, really out of shape, and I'm like, man. Good, right? Good, but we don't know how much damage you've done. All right, we're trying to undo all of that damage. So 100%. getting to a place where we can find out what keeps them out of a hospital, because that's the direction they were going. Yeah, totally. It scares me sometimes. Yes. Yeah.
100%. I mean,
I'm not innocent of that either. Okay, so
no, none of us are perfect, right? I mean, none of us are perfect, but I think we're really blessed in this day and age to have both, to have such incredible trauma medicine. I call Western medicine shit hits the fan medicine. It's there when the shit hits the fan, and we need that.
Yes.
Unfortunately, we have car accidents in the world, and we have jiu-jitsu injuries that need surgery, and we need those things. And what can we do on a day-to-day basis to mitigate our impact on our greater society at large? How can we be contributors?
Right.
We're a contributor if you're healthy.
Yes.
That's just the baseline of it.
Yeah.
Right.
And I had another guest on the show, and it's Richard Bressler. He's in his 70s. He still teaches jiu-jitsu. Very passionate about jiu-jitsu. And he talked about the things that you do daily to yourself. There are zero neutral things that you put into your body. It's either good or it's bad.
I agree.
Right? So if you do something like cheeseburger, stuff like that, that's not a neutral move. That's not bowel movement away from being okay. It does something to your body.
Well said.
Right?
Well said.
It does something to your body. And then
you're not wrong.
Yeah. And on the opposite end, obviously, if you grow your own vegetables in your garden, that's going to be a step above buying them from the store. There are no neutral things that we do to ourselves.
You're 100% right. I've never thought of it like that.
Yeah. I didn't either until he said it. So yeah. But can you talk a little bit about the place that you were in India? And I have an idea, but I never really dug into it. I've never really read anything about it. Why was you said the burger that made you sick and helped you find your career, by the way? But
yeah, right.
But you said there was no meat allowed in that city.
It's Hindu. So
gotcha.
Yeah, so basically, I mean, this is an oversimplification, but India has 18 national languages. It is a subcontinent. You go to the airport and no one, even though they all look the same, can understand each other.
Whoa.
It's a complete hodgepodge. Wow. It's a complete, if there's a melting pot, that is it.
Yeah.
So you basically, if you want to kind of go 101, you can cut India into several slices, and it's either Hindu or Muslim.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Yeah. So obviously kind of the Muslim area is more near Pakistan,
Mm,
up that direction where there's an abundance of meat eating,
yes.
right?
Yeah.
Hindus don't eat meat.
Gotcha.
They do eat a lot of dairy
Yeah.
and cheese, and they're not vegan by any means. A ton of butter, things like that. Some of them kind of are like the naughty ones and eat eggs, but no meat is
Gotcha.
actually allowed in the city. It's actually illegal
Wow.
in Nazi.
Wow.
So I got a garden burger.
Yeah.
That's what happened, and there must have been eggs in there that I think were bad, or something. It was something like that.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, and you know, and however the vegetables to make the burger, however they're processed, I mean, there could have been dirty hands. It could have been anything. I mean,
in India, geez. Yeah. I mean, you know, you see rows of eggs just sitting out in the baking heat, and you're like, hope I don't die. I mean, you know, it's Russian roulette, man.
Yeah,
here we go.
Yeah.
So you're only one garden burger away from a good career.
Yes. Yeah. You'll wake up covered in needles going, all right, I'm in.
Oh my God, I'm a porcupine. What's happening with my life? Yeah.
And what made you go in that direction with acupuncture?
So when I came back to the US, what I actually wanted to be was an Ayurvedic physician, which is the traditional system of medicine from India. People like Deepak Chopra and folks like that have kind of brought it more to the mainstream.
Yeah.
But we don't have any accredited doctoral program in the US for Ayurvedic medicine, but we do for Chinese medicine.
Okay.
So there are a lot of similarities and overlaps between the two systems of medicine. And so I was like, it's the next best thing where I can get, you know, an actual doctorate and open up a practice and have an accredited license and the whole 9 yards.
Yeah. That's good. Was that kind of like a little bit of a blow to you? Because I mean, I'm sure you came back like really excited to kick off a career in that specific thing. And I don't want to say it was plan B, but I mean, it sounds like you love the acupuncture medicine as well. So it doesn't sound like you landed in a bad spot.
I didn't land in a bad spot. In fact, I landed at Nike is what happened.
Wow.
So at 26 years old, I was hired by the top Nike head coach.
Whoa.
And he called me and he said, what can he do with this Chinese chicken medicine on my athletes?
Right.
And I knew him because I had also done personal training, like not just as a student of his, but I actually had got my certification in personal training. So I knew him more through those circles. But once he heard that I got my doctorate, he was like, how can you combine these two things? Like, I'm bringing you to Nike campus to see what you can do at 26 years old with Nike top elite athletes.
Did they have any systems set up that were even close to what you were bringing to the table?
No, so, I was the trailblazer at Nike for complementary care. Now they have a super established acupuncture program for all their athletes, utilizing what I do, which is acupuncture orthopedics. I've trained all their interns doing so, but that was my baby. I mean, I spearheaded that at 26.
Wow.
So all I've been doing for my entire career is treating pro athletes. That's all I've been doing. So I am very, very specialized in what's termed acupuncture orthopedics. I don't do women's health. I don't do infertility acupuncture, which is its own thing. I don't do allergies. Like, I don't do family practice. Like, I have to be referred by like Nike or Adidas or Reebok or like, where they're like, okay, I'm usually the girl that gets the phone call. We've tried everything.
Yeah.
That's always the first line. I'm like, here we go.
Yeah.
Right.
It's like that.
Oh, by the way, you got 4 weeks until Nike pays them to do a race that's going to be in Trail Runner magazine. So good luck to you.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, that's usually my life.
Whoa.
Yeah. I have like these huge sponsored brands. I've worked with the PTs from the Olympic Committee, went to Seoul, did all their Nordic athletes. So that's all I do is either sports injuries or post-op recovery. Anything outside of that, I refer out.
Okay. So is that something that I could like because I mean, 50 years old, my knees are not what they used to be. Is that something like I could just kind of Google and look for like a orthopedic, what would you say? Orthopedic acupuncture
orthopedics.
Yeah. Is that something that is like mainstream? Like I could find here?
There is, I believe, some type, and I have to look it up because I'm not even a member of it, but I think it's like some brand new National Association for Acupuncture Orthopedics. I just heard about it.
Oh, wow.
I'm kind of the dinosaur.
Yeah.
And so they're pumping out, like I said, like I've trained a lot of interns that now are doctors of Chinese medicine that treat athletes at Nike, Reebok, Adidas, things like that. So it's like there's a whole new generation of youngins. Yep. I'm one of the old climbers, the old, sports medicine docs, who utilize Chinese medicine. Wow. And so, yes, you can find them out there. I always tell people, try and find one based on referral. Like, the Chicago Bears has a phenomenal acupuncturist. Yeah. Like, they're starting to kind of become, we can talk about this with sports too, but a little bit prolific to the point that I'm concerned about quality.
Of course.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, it gets watered down no matter what. Yeah.
Right. So now like there are acupuncturists that are like, I want to work for the Lakers. Well, who doesn't?
Yeah.
So it's like, but you see that whole new crop of brand new grads that are coming out. Yeah. And then I often will get calls from the local schools and stuff and say, hey, can you take on some interns? And I'm like, yeah, but now I'm an old dog. I don't have a lot of new tricks. I've just done what I've done for, all these years. So
yeah. I mean, that's really interesting. There's actually a guy, he's an Arizona guy, and he's a pro athlete, but he's not in team sports. He does a lot of the ultra type stuff, like bikes, run, stuff like that. He actually did a run across, he's ran across, I want to say he ran the Great Wall in China. And that was, I want to say that might've been sponsored through Nike. He ran across the US. He's biked and ran across the US. His name's Jason Lester. He's an Arizona guy. And he won an ESPY for, it was in 2008 or 9, but it was like best male athlete with a disability. So when he was 16 years old, he was hit by a car. He doesn't have use, I believe, of his left arm. So he stuffs it in like a little pouch in his belly. And he's got a sleeve that he wears so he can ride his bike. But when he swims ultras. Now these are ultras, one armed. He does one arm swimming. So he tucks the arm and you just see him taking one arm strokes on the swim. And then he jumps on the bike and then he does a run. He and Rich Roll did the first, they called it the Epic 5. It was 5 ultra triathlons on the 5 islands of Hawaii in 5 days. So now
why don't we clone these people and the bear killer? Right. I'm just saying.
Yes.
I'm just saying these are the people we need more of.
We need more of
Holy
these guys.
cow. Yeah. Where's their stem cells in a tube?
Yeah. Right.
Good Lord.
Yeah. I mean, you want to talk about like just somebody that refuses to quit. That's the guy. And
those are the people I think of when I'm climbing a frozen waterfall.
Yeah.
Or, whatever. Yeah. Or, I was the only girl for the first 8 years out of my 11-year jiu-jitsu journey. And it's like, dude, I got nothing on the bear killer. Like, I got nothing on, like, my mom running from lions on the way to school is like a 4th grader.
Right. Yeah.
Like, I got nothing.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
We have issues, not problems.
We have issues, Alex. We have lots of issues, but we don't have problems.
I'm so stealing that. I'm writing that down.
Okay, I gotta tell you that I joke and I tell my dad we need like a book of like Big Daddy Bill Barton quotes.
100%.
Because really I've been on many podcasts and like every podcaster's like, that's brilliant. And I'm like, Big Daddy Bill Barton.
Yeah.
Riding again.
Yeah.
Coming in clutch, dude, with the pearls.
Yeah, no kidding. So let's talk about jiu-jitsu because you brought it up.
Yeah.
So
and I'm in a gi, which is weird.
You're in a gi, and you just finished teaching a class, I think. Did you? Yep. So tell me about that. What kind of class was it?
So I teach all the women's classes at our gym here locally.
Okay.
And
so how many classes a week is that?
Currently 2,
Okay.
but we're also starting to kind of play with women's open mats.
Nice. Yeah.
And things like that.
Yeah.
And then we're also playing with kind of like mini seminars.
Oh, neat.
Yeah,
Okay.
things like that. So yeah, that's it. It's a new program that I got hired to spearhead this. And so it's going really, really well.
Yeah.
I mean, I feel very touched that I am hopefully able to make these women's lives easier on the mats.
Yeah.
That I didn't get.
Yes. Yeah. So let's talk
I'm just
about
like,
that.
I'm here to tell you everything that nobody told me.
Yeah.
And I love my Matt brothers.
Yeah.
But they just were kind of like, ugh.
Yeah.
They were, I mean, I was the girl, they were trying to be, they're all super good, man. Just amazing. But like freaking combat Marine vets.
Yeah. Yeah.
Just hard fuckers,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
And in I walk and I'm like, I want to do jujitsu.
Yeah.
And you can, again, it's like the tavern, right? in like Alaska, it's just like, this chick's walking in.
Yeah.
And I told him, I'm like, I'm not going to Me Too movement you boys.
Right. Yeah.
I'm not here to break up the cigar room. I just want to learn jujitsu.
That's awesome.
And I'll never forget this. When I was the first female purple belt at the gym, and my professor goes, "You're like a nasty ass thorn that just doesn't go away." And I'm like,
yeah. That itch in the small of your back that you can't reach.
oh,
That's
yeah.
awesome.
Yeah. And like the boys like collectively came up to me one day to my car. And I think I was like 6 years in, and they're like, "You're really not going away."
Yeah.
And I was like, "You're damn right."
Yeah. Yeah.
And they're like, "Alrighty then."
Yeah.
Like they were just kind of like, I guess this is happening. Like after 6 years.
Yeah. Yeah. Did it feel kind of lonely though? Like being the only.
So lonely.
Yeah.
So lonely. And I got to tell you, total transparency, because I'm an oversharer too. I'm so thrilled you are. I was single for most of those years. And I was always like, I'm never going to shit where I eat.
Yeah.
Because I want these boys to respect me.
Yes. Yes.
Like I want them to see me as a viable, real contender.
Yeah.
Eventually. I know it'll be a while, but I'm going to get there.
Yep.
I want them to take me seriously. So, I mean, they were all hot, right? They were hot. And I was just like single. And I was like, nope, not going to be that girl. Never was that girl.
Yeah.
Never shit where I eat. And I think to this day, those boys are like,
yeah.
That chick, mad respect, man.
Yeah.
There were a bunch of hottie single boys in there. And I was just like,
nope. Yep.
yeah. So, I mean, it was lonely in multiple ways.
Yeah.
Right? Like, all the guys after class would go and have a beer.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't think they were being mean. I think they just like really missed their dudes only time. And I get it.
Yeah.
I get it. I don't begrudge them that at all.
Right.
I did crash the party. Right? I totally crashed the party. Like, I get it.
Yeah.
But like, I was never invited.
Right.
And then like when I was lonely on a Friday night and even wanted to just go watch the fights at a sports bar and have a burger, I felt it wouldn't be appropriate to call them because it's like, either, they're married and I didn't want their wives to think anything of it. I wanted to like have really good boundaries, or they were single and I'm like, I don't know if I could have good boundaries. I'm definitely not calling him. You know what I'm saying? And so it's like, like I feel horrible in saying this. Sith Lord coming through me right now. Okay. Here's the Sith Lord. It's coming through.
Yeah.
I look at all of these women, that are on women's teams and have come up, with female teachers and female camaraderie. And I'm kind of like the Wednesday Addams of these people. I'm just like, man. Like, I'm like the old curmudgeon who went through the depression, where I'm just like, you didn't go through what I went through. Like, that's my inner dialogue. Like in every like women's camp, all the GB girls are in one corner, like doing what I call emotional hair braiding,
right?
And stuff like that. And like, I was never given the option to sit out around. Ever.
Right.
Ever.
Yeah.
So like, they're sitting there and they're talking about their boyfriends and about some guy they scammed at Worlds or whatever. And I'm like, any of you girls gonna roll? And they're like, we don't roll every single round. And I'm like, welcome to Thunderdome. Like, are you kidding me? Like, so I do have a little bit of like an old timer curmudgeon energy with me.
Yeah.
We're like, some of the females were sweet and they came up to me the other day after class and said, we really want you to stripe us up. Because there's several male black belts at the gym. They're all phenomenal.
Yeah.
And I said, you don't want me to do it. From one of the guys, I said, my standards are so nasty.
Yeah.
Because I came up through the nasty.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like I was with the Health Gracie boys. Like they give 0 bucks.
Yeah.
Right? So I was like, I think the guys are going to have more compassion on your journey than I do. You don't want me to do this.
You're stingy.
Like, you better do what the SB guy did.
Yeah.
You better be having an arm that doesn't function and freaking swimming across the Red Sea.
Yeah.
Yeah, no.
Yeah, for me, it's like I have a real hard time. Obviously, like I can't really say a lot of things out loud because I'm the academy owner, and I have to play that role. But
all the Me Too shit, all of it, all of it.
Yeah, but for me, it's like I have a friend, Koa, and he's been beating me up for 11 years. But he and I like to believe that we kind of kept each other like in the game, because when he had a hard time getting to the academy, we would find time to roll together. And when I had a hard time, he would help me because he would just show up. And we had a key at the time. Thank goodness our instructor gave us a key. But we'd be in there, 4:30, 5 o'clock in the morning, get some rolls in before work because that's what we do. We don't make excuses.
Club, man.
Yeah. We don't make excuses.
That's the old schoolers, man. And I tell people, I'm like, if you're I think almost 50, and I'm heading that way to slay right into menopause for me. I can feel it. It's gonna be rad. But like, I think when you hit 50 on over, and if you're still in the game, you are a scary motherfucker.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. Like I like all the 20-year-olds and the D1 wrestlers do not concern me.
Right.
It's the 70-year-old who's Alex's buddy who's still teaching. You don't want to fuck with those people.
No.
Mr. Miyagi shit on that level.
Yeah.
And they, like I said the other day, I took a picture and I held up the purple belt, and I was like, I've seen some shit. This bastard for 4 years, I've seen some shit.
Yeah.
So it's kind of funny. I kind of think I'm a total like Depression era Matt. I'm like the little old lady, get off my lawn now.
Yeah.
That's me.
Yeah. And I was watching a video of I get lost in. So what I do is I like to watch podcasts that I have no interest in, because I want to see other people's perspectives and how they ask questions and how they drive the conversation. And
I love this.
Like if I watch a jiu-jitsu thing, like I kind of anticipate what the answer is going to be. Right?
Totally. So, that makes perfect sense.
Yeah. So if I watch something on like pottery or NASCAR, by the way, I almost got hooked. I almost got hooked on the NASCAR one. Anyway, they were talking about how they cheat. Oh my God, it's awesome. Anyway, but
wow.
But just how they drove the conversation. And oh gosh, where was I going with this? We were talking about
the old curmudgeon.
Curmudgeon.
Get off my lawn.
Yes. So I don't want to fall into that thing where, I only drive conversations the way my brain functions. I want to learn from other people. And especially now, because I tell people I'm in the get off my lawn phase of my life. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah.
So getting stuck in our ways is kind of, it happens, I guess. It happens. But I try to avoid it as much as possible, because I think that's what keeps us young. Right? What's that?
I totally try to avoid it too. But the other day I was like,
it's happening. It's
happening, Alex, whether we want it to or not, but we are going to try and backpedal as best we can.
Yeah. Because,
right?
Yes, because I want to be like, if you were to come into town and do a seminar, I would sign up for your seminar, and then I would just be like, blank slate. You show me what you know. One thing I don't like to say during when somebody's trying to teach me something is, oh yeah, I know. I just, okay, tell me where to put my hands, because they're going to tell me something that I'm not anticipating if if I operate in that manner, right?
Beginner's mind.
Yes, the beginner's mind. That's a great way to put it. Yeah, the beginner's mind is like huge, especially when you're dropping, $200 on a seminar. You might as well pay attention, right?
I agree, 100%. There's a difference between listening and hearing.
Yes. Yeah. And we're all guilty of, not, actively listening, right? We're all 100%. Guilty of, yeah.
And I ask myself, a lot, I'm like, okay, did I just actually listen to what he said, or did I hear it?
Yeah.
Because hearing it to me is kind of in one ear, out the other, right? It's kind of just like going, yep, okay, I get it, thanks, you know?
Yeah.
Listening is like taking it in, I think, kind of like contemplating it, feeling out what that means for you, maybe even kind of reflecting it back and having a conversation and saying, is this what you meant? Did I understand what you said properly?
I think one of the traps I get caught in, and this is from my former life as a salesperson, is you want to fill in that gap, that quiet gap, instead of processing what the person said. Just take 2 seconds to process what they said instead of going, oh yeah, and then you didn't really listen, right? And I'm guilty of that. I'm trying to work on that part.
I think it's very cultural too, because like in the East, that pause is very much a part of their culture, to the point that sometimes you're sitting there and like 2 minutes later, you're like, okay, rock, paper, scissors, who's going to speak first?
Yes.
Like, you're just like, I'm taking in what you're saying.
Yeah.
And I'm like, thank you, but we still have a train to catch. Right. Like, so it's interesting. It's kind of like, what's the balance, right?
Yeah.
It's like, what's the balance? Like, they practice the pause for a period of time to the point that sometimes it doesn't feel productive.
Yeah.
We don't pause at all.
At all. A guy showed me once, he's from the Middle East, and he's a business person from the Middle East who lives in the U.S., but he was talking about etiquette, right? How, the type of car that picks up the person that you're going to meet with, the type of suit you wear, where and how you sit in the meeting. But one thing he showed me, because in the U.S. you just kind of show up and it is what it is. But one thing he showed me that I do to this day is, like, he said, when somebody hands you a business card, you take the business card in your hand and you read the entire business card with them in front of you, and then you put it in your pocket. So that shows a little bit of respect to, okay, this is who you are. This is your title, right? This is your company. And then you take that in and then you put it away. Instead of like, oh, here's my card. Oh, thanks. And you just put it away. They actually take a moment to read the card, and it's kind of an etiquette thing. And I loved it. That little gesture.
I love that too, because there's a bigger metaphor there. Right?
Yeah.
It's not just about the business card.
Right.
It's acknowledging the person.
Yes.
What they bring to the table. Like, there's a lot of layers to that, actually.
I loved it. I do that.
Too.
Yeah, I do that to this day. It's like he taught me this decade and a half ago. And I do that to this day. When somebody hands me a business card, I read the whole thing and then I put it away. So it's just a little, I love it. I just think it's, that little gesture I think means a lot, So let's talk about Purple Belt 4 years. Let's talk about, okay, I'm not trying to jinx it. Okay, but you brought it up. You're testing for your brown belt in very short period, very short order, right?
Almost 1 month.
Okay.
Exactly.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So how does that work? Do you get like an email? Does your instructor come up to you and say, "Hey, you're up for brown belt, be ready," or how does that work?
So this is fascinating, and I am digesting how my professor does this, because I think I'm really intrigued by her system. My previous belts, I got it, I don't know if you would call it the traditional way, but like just one day.
Yep.
Right.
Yep.
And you're like, okay, do I deserve this? Very imposter syndrome.
100%.
Like, should I be wearing this?
Yeah.
I guess I have to trust my professor.
Yeah.
Professor Sophia doesn't have a brick and mortar gym.
Oh, okay.
So this is where this gets super cool. She has women all over the world. And by the way, these women that she deems ready for a brown belt all over the world are coming here in 1 month.
Whoa.
To test with me.
Nice.
That basically she has been kind of a mentor to for over a decade.
Wow.
And so, like, for instance, one woman, her husband is in the military in Seoul, Korea. And Joan is flying from Seoul, Korea here. Sophia has been in contact with her for a decade. She's been coming to the States to train with Sophia. You know, Sophia goes there for seminars. So she's been like watching.
Wow.
Right?
Yeah.
So I'll tell you what happened basically is that I called her a couple of months ago and I said, I'd love to bring you out to Boise.
Yeah.
You know, for a seminar.
Yeah.
And she goes, okay. She goes, well, be ready to test for your brow. And I was like, whoa, hold the phone. I said, that's just so you know, that's not why I was calling you.
Right.
And I'm, you know, you're Australia's first female black belt. You're a 6-time world champion.
Wow.
You know, again, imposter syndrome, not worthy.
Yeah.
Like I've just been basically fangirling out on you for almost 11 years. And I've kind of followed her around a little bit like a groupie. Like I've gone to her camps, like any seminar that I could possibly afford to go to. I've hired her for camps that I've put on myself. Like I've just always, she's a legend in the sport. I mean, she is a trailblazer.
Yeah, no doubt.
So, you know, when I was at my previous gym in Oregon, I would call her once in a while and say, I'm done being the only girl here. Like, I am done. And she'd say, fly out next week and let's do a couple of private lessons.
Oh, wow.
Like, let's troubleshoot this.
Yeah.
And so she's always kind of, for lack of a better term, the angel on my back.
Yeah.
Like, you are struggling. Those, you know, those are some big ass dudes. I actually brought her to my gym for a seminar one time. And she was like, oh, whoa. Like, she's tiny as it is. She's, I think, 5'4", 5'5" anyway. But she was like, no, I get it now. I get your plight here.
Yeah.
So, like, whenever I would just be like, you know, I think I'm just done. Like, I just can't even physically do this anymore.
Yeah.
You know, I was still climbing at a pro level while I was doing jujitsu 5 days a week.
Wow.
And my body was just getting trashed. And I was just like, I got to throw the towel in at some point. And I would always call her right when I was at that edge. And she'd be like, nope, I have a camp next month. I'll see you there.
Wow.
And so I just feel very, very honored. I'll be her first brown belt in Idaho.
Nice.
Yeah. And it's going to be an honor to get my last 2 belts from her.
Yeah.
We just moved here, Dominic and I did 5.5 months ago.
Yes. I don't know if I don't know if I want to. I do want to bring it up so bad.
Yeah.
But yeah, I remember when you and I first started following each other on Instagram. I think you were in Oregon at the time, right?
Yeah.
So,
born and raised, native Oregonian.
Yeah. We'll talk about that a little bit. Yeah.
Sure. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. So she's coming out doing is it going to be a seminar / belt promotion? That sounds like a long weekend.
She's going to do 2 days of seminars and then she's going to stay after.
Okay.
And test all of us ladies. And it's funny, my house will be filled to the brim with women. Literally the other night, Dominic was like, I got to get out of here. I got to get like a hotel or something. Like that's too much estrogen. Like even for me, like
he's outnumbered. Yeah.
Oh, you'd be kicked out. Yeah. You can't do it. But, you know, so Dominic said last year, he's like, I could give you your black belt. But the thing though is I know you don't want it from a boyfriend. I know you.
Yeah.
Like you don't want any thought of potential favoritism.
Yeah.
You want to earn everything fair and square. And I feel like it would mean a lot more to you coming from a female mentor.
Yeah.
Because that's what you want to represent in the sport.
Yeah.
Who has seen your entire journey and who has kept you on the mats.
Yeah,
he's like,
that's huge.
That is who should be giving you your last 2 belts.
Yeah, that's a really wise statement on both your parts, because I think it would mean so much more. Obviously, it would mean a lot coming from Dominic, right? I mean, he's a great dude.
It's different though.
Yeah, it's very
but
different.
Even he said it. He's like, I'm a man, and he's like, I see what you want to do for women in this sport and what you want to represent. And who's going to navigate you through that is going to be a female trailblazer black belt.
Yeah. And for women that listen to the show, believe it or not, I think we're at like 20% women who listen to the show.
I love your show.
Oh, thank you.
I listen to it all the time.
Thank you. Yes.
Oh, I love your show.
Thank you. But for women that listen to the show and don't understand, maybe they're new to jiu-jitsu. Let's give them a little bit of a rundown as to like women in the sport. I always go back and think about Yvonne Duarte, right? She was the first female black belt. I cannot imagine. I want to get her on the show, by the way. I cannot imagine everything she went through. Just like, I mean, she had to ask, like, I think it was like Helio Gracie if they could do like a women's division. Like, she's that much of a trailblazer. And then you got women in the ADCC when nobody gave a shit about ADCC.
Yeah, 100%.
And then you've got, let's fast forward a little bit into the 2000s. I mean, I'm fast forwarding a lot, but I remember IBJJF competition. Women had 2 divisions. So if you were 50 years old, you're fighting 30-year-olds. Yeah. And then the women finally said, no, we're not doing it anymore. Like we want our own brackets.
Love it.
And
love it.
And I think, it's one of those things, like if you put an animal in a tank, it would only grow as big as that tank. Right. Well so when the IBJJF gave in and they gave women, I think it was 5 different divisions, all of a sudden you're getting women in all these divisions. Where it used to be like 2 in a bracket, 1 in a bracket, maybe they get a fight, maybe they don't.
Yep.
Worlds is huge. Pans is huge.
Yep.
Because women from around the world see like, okay, I can compete with somebody my age, not 20 years younger, right? Yes. By the way, the biggest complaint my wife had about competing with women who are really young is getting their makeup all over her gi. That pissed her off. That really pissed her off.
Boy, at 47, the bracket for my age group, like it just gets smaller. Yeah. I think I might have just entered Masters 4.
There you go. Yeah.
Right? And it's like, right? It's just getting smaller and smaller. Yeah. Who's, at this point, again, it's the Chris Howder slogan of it's not who's good, it's who's left.
Who's left, 100%. Yes. Yeah.
Like, who's hanging on?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, with nothing but tape and CBD.
Screws on my shoulder and I mean,
But she was a part of that.
Oh, yeah. I mean, she's actually, I'd love to connect you to for her to get on your podcast.
I would love it.
Absolutely. Because, no, I mean, Dominic was very calculated about this. He's like, you broke glass ceilings for women in climbing. Mm. You need to be under a mentor who did that in jiu-jitsu for your brown and your black. And he said, and I say this with all due respect, but he said, your previous belts, you didn't have an emotional connection to your teacher because you couldn't because he's a man.
Yeah.
Like to be fair, there's boundaries, right?
Yeah.
Like I respected who I got my belts from, right? They were men, but there was always a distance that I kept out of respect. Yeah. They were married men. Like I just never wanted to appear, especially being the only girl, as anything. Yeah. So I was always kind of very standoffish, with my male professor, very much like at a distance, arm's length, always, especially when the whole Me Too thing blew up. And then it was just like, I was just always trying to be very respectful.
Yeah.
But there was I'm going to be radically honest with you. And this is like super not fun thing to say. There was no joy in my journey. None.
Wow.
Like I have stuck with jiu-jitsu because I am one stubborn bad bitch. But like, I'll tell you this, like, this is why I tell my very sweet, doe-eyed, like bright-eyed little white belts and blue belts, they're like, oh, I want to be striped up under you. I'm like, girl, I'm like an old dog with scars, man. You don't even want to talk to me.
Yeah.
Because like, I never had like a giddy feeling or even a feeling where I could feel like I could joke around with my professor. He was very gruff and just very reserved.
Yeah.
Whereas like Sophia was always, I kept a respect of her as a legend in the sport and a professor in her own right.
Yeah.
But there was an emotional connection that I could go to with her because there was this female thing.
Yep. Yeah. I want to say I totally get it. I don't, but I can totally understand where you're coming from.
Yeah. And so Dominic said, I want for you for the first time in your journey to have fun.
Yeah.
And I want for you to have somebody who has kind of hovered over you like a mama bird.
Yeah.
I want you to be able to joke with your professor.
Yes.
And smile at your professor instead of like not even looking at him in the eye because you just don't, I don't know. But I was always on guard,
Yeah.
with the male professor. And I think I did that right. Like it was better to be overcautious than undercautious.
Yeah.
But I'm really excited for the first time in my life to maybe have fun.
Yeah.
On the mats, because it's been really like not pleasant.
Yeah.
Like I just say that, like I can't even lie about it. Like, I have big brothers,
Yeah.
from, all of my years in jiu-jitsu. But again, there was always an emotional disconnect, always an emotional distance, which I think was appropriate. But like, I never like gotta be silly or like gotta be giddy or like have a girls team or just nothing.
Yeah. And one thing that like men listening to what you're saying will be like, oh, they'll come up with some bullshit to say. But what they
totally get that
what
too.
they don't understand, what they will never understand. This is something I see now that I'm an academy owner. I'm an instructor. I see this all the time. Is let's just say you have 4 women on the team. Okay.
Yeah.
Let's just say you have all 4 on the mat at the same time. That's kind of a big deal, right? They train with each other, get to train with everybody else.
Yep.
But you have 25 men. And of those 25 men, there might be 4 competitors in the room that want to really get after it, right?
Totally.
Right. There might be some like shoulder injuries, there might be some hobbyists and stuff like that. Now, if you just look at percentage-wise, you just took 3 out of the 4 women out of the equation. If they're not competitors, if they're injured, if they have something going on, if they're having an anxiety attack, men have them too. But the pool is so freaking small that you don't have that camaraderie that you have with the men because the pool is so much bigger.
And I'm going to say that my experience from like going to women's camps and women's seminars and things like this, that there's still, man, women have their own big problems. Like I am absolutely not one of the women out there. I'm kind of the Wednesday Addams where it's like, oh man, I see toxic female problems too.
Yeah.
Big time.
Yeah.
And so when you get these small pools, wasn't all that different, honestly, than the safari in Africa. Female lions are the ones you don't want to fuck with.
Right.
Truly. Like no joke. Like they are incredibly territorial.
Yeah.
If there's dating in the gym, if there's things like that, they're vicious.
Yeah.
Vicious. Like I've always kind of been the Tom girl, right? Like I have more platonic male friends than I do female friends. And my female friends are they're well chosen. They're well thought out.
Yeah.
But it's like, dude, I would fight a guy any day over a woman.
Yeah.
Any day. And that's not just because of what I was brought up with in my journey. Women are multitasking, squirrely, manipulative. Holy crap.
Yeah.
And I gotta say this too, for whatever this is worth. Having been the sister, which you inadvertently become to all the men, right? My Snow White and all the dwarves.
Yeah.
What happened? I have so much compassion for men now. Like those men would come to me and talk to me about personal issues with their spouses or their girlfriends and be like, what do I do? Like, can you help me? And I'm like, you genuinely care.
Wow.
Like I saw that, women often just kind of like pass men off as like these non-feeling creatures and they don't give a shit. I'm like, you couldn't be more wrong.
Yeah. No,
I've climbed with men, I predominantly climbed with men. I've been up in very, very high places for days with men. And I hear how much angst they're in from personal, psychological. I mean, I really had no idea, honestly.
Yeah.
And now I'm just like, I usually take the guy's side. I mean, honestly, I'm not kidding. I do. Yeah. I have so much compassion for men now. I'm glad in one way that I had that experience.
Yeah.
Because it's made me everybody's sister. And so they all call me, what do I do? And I'm like, I think it's really cool that you're even asking.
Yeah. I mean, and it's really hard for us to ask those questions, because I mean, there's a little bit of a guilty feeling, like, why am I not talking to my spouse about this? Why, you know what I mean? But you need that. I don't know. You need that.
I call it the chick whisperer.
Yes,
you need a chick whisperer.
Definitely do. Yeah.
I ran Dominic past all my male training partners. I had run 3 previous boyfriends, and they're like, nope.
Thumbs down. Yeah.
Nope.
Yeah.
Nope. I ran him by them, and they were like, yeah, he works. Right? So it's like, those boys were my dude whisperers. And I told them, I'm like, hey, if you're calling me at 10 o'clock at night about your crazy wife, you better, there's payback. I'm running my boys past you.
Yeah.
And they're like, we got it.
That's awesome.
So like, oh yeah. Everybody needs a chick whisperer and a dude whisperer.
Yeah. Yeah.
Totally.
Yeah. And, and going back to, the words that you use, and I use them all the time, you don't shit where you eat. I have rarely seen a jiu-jitsu academy relationship go well.
Amen. Amen. This is what I tell all my girls.
If they come in together, that's different, right? If they're together,
Yes. And Dominic and I were both hired as coaches at our gym, and they sat us down and said that.
Yeah.
They said, you're coming in together.
Yeah.
We feel good about that.
Yeah.
But I tell all the girls, I'm like, there's so many gyms in the Boise area. It's like having 2 Christmases. Okay? You get an open mat here.
Yeah.
You get an open mat at the boyfriends.
Yes. Yeah.
Don't date here.
So,
you both do jujitsu.
Yeah.
Right? It's a lifestyle sport. You're going to go to each other's seminars at the other's gym, and everybody always welcomes you because you're their significant other.
Right. Yeah.
Right? You got to go to like all the festivities at 2 gyms. Rock that.
Yep.
But don't shit where you eat. And if you do, I have zero compassion for you.
Yeah.
Because I was one lonely lady for years on end, and I didn't do anything. So if I didn't do anything, you can control yourself.
That's right. Yeah. Yeah.
I'm just saying.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Like, I told him, I said, if you date here or you do it behind the scenes or whatever, and the shit hits the fan and you come to me crying, again, Big Daddy Bill Barton coming through the tubes, Captain No Feels. Right. No feels. You have an issue. You don't have a problem, and you created it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Nope.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah. It's too damn tricky, man. It's way too damn tricky.
It's volatile. It's unpredictable, and it usually ends in drama.
Yeah.
And that's no good for anyone, including a business.
Yeah. No
I'm
kidding.
a business owner too. Like I'm an entrepreneur. Like I've run medical clinics. Like it's not good for business.
Yeah. It's really bad for business.
Yes.
Let's talk about your rock climbing. So so you sent me some photos, and I was like, I had to zoom in. I was like, is that a person on the rock? Like, how did you discover rock climbing? Because like, it seems like everything you do, you have passion for. There is nothing passive. I don't see anything passive in your life. Like everything is like,
I'm working on it, but I'm not very successful.
But you're very active in everything that you're doing. And rock climbing is like, okay, so I did it years ago, and I did it with a friend of mine who was, I was in the military. He was a SEAL. And he was a guy from SEAL Team 5, went down to Panama. He was like a medic there, and he was a rock climber. Anyway, so he would set up all this. I don't know what the hell I'm doing. I bought a harness and whatever. And then we would go climb all day. And then we would be having drinks, and he'd say, after reading a little bit, I realized I probably shouldn't have set that stuff up that way. We could have died today. I'm like, oh no. So, and I can
only laugh because I'm a climber, and I'm like, yeah.
I don't know if he was messing with me, but somehow he talked me into going again. But anyway, how did you get into it?
Yeah. Well, that's kind of how it happens, right?
Yes.
And then you get back on the mats over and over. It's like, I broke my arm, but we should probably go back.
Yeah. So I didn't die, so I'm fine. But,
Did you die, Mr. Chow? Right. No, let's do it again.
Yeah. How did it start for you?
Well, this is kind of funny because I actually called my mom and I asked her, and I said, when did I start climbing things? And she said, we tried to put up 5 different backyard fences, each one higher than the next.
Yeah.
You climbed at 2 years old in your diaper over a 10-foot fence
Oh my
with
gosh.
no holes.
Wow.
And she said, after that, I realized we could not keep you in. So we just tied a red balloon around your stomach and found you around the neighborhood that way.
Yeah.
And we could see you literally climbing people's chimneys. Like I actually would climb people's homes in the neighborhood.
Oh my
and
gosh.
she would see a red balloon near a chimney. And she's like, that's my daughter, like in her pull-ups or in her diapers.
Yeah.
She said, she was like, you kind of came out climbing stuff.
Yeah.
Like really. She's like, the minute I put diapers on you, you were climbing everything.
Yeah. Well, we're kind of natural climbers, right? Children, I mean, you know, but you.
That's what I tell people.
But that's
I'm
an
like,
extreme.
As soon as a child can stand, they're going to test that standing by trying to climb up on a couch.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's one of the first primal movements. People have all this kind of nat movement stuff, and I think it's awesome, and I love all that. One of the most primal movements is to climb something, is to get from top to bottom, whether it's climbing a tree for coconuts, whether it's, climbing a tree for honeycomb. Our ancestors were climbers.
Yeah. Yeah.
Whether it's to climb a tree for a better vantage point, to hunt.
Yeah.
Right? It is a primal movement.
Yeah.
And so apparently I was doing it in Huggies. That's, with a red balloon tied to my waist.
Yeah.
Very Stephen King but whatever. That's a whole other thing.
I think it's cool that your mom, like, she must have had some foresight because, it's really easy. I mean, my mom is like straight up from Mexico. Like she would be carrying me right now if I let her. Like I would not have learned how to walk because
Mexican moms, that's amazing.
Yeah, she's so protective. But she would have been the one like, get down. So your mom kind of, I mean, of course she was probably losing her shit seeing her kid climb chimneys. But she had some foresight. Like she never broke your spirit with it, right?
No,
she just kind of probably didn't encourage it a whole lot, but probably didn't break your spirit either.
My brother and my sister both went to Harvard. They're both valedictorians. They each have 3 graduate degrees. I was absolutely the curveball, like the black sheep on every level. And so, my mom was just like, at least we got a fun one.
Yeah.
And that's what my dad always says. Like, I remember, I didn't break my collarbone. That would have been cool. I actually exploded it, according to the surgeon. I have 30 screws in my shoulders. It's judo. Good times.
Yeah, good times. Yeah,
good times. But I remember waking up from surgery, and it was my first surgery, and my dad's looking at me, and he's like, fuck, you're fun. Like,
that is so cool, man.
I'm here for it, man. Yeah. I'm here for it.
I love it. It.
So, like, I think they were just kind of like, this is the wild card. Like, we're not, trying to catch a fire in a butterfly net.
Yeah. So when you told them you were going to Tibet or wherever you ended up, they're probably like, sounds about right. 17. Yeah, sounds about right.
Oh no, when I was 17, my mom goes, I don't think we're going to be able to stop you. Yeah. So at this point, we'll pray for you, honey. That's all she has said my entire life.
We'll pray for you, honey. Oh,
yeah.
gosh.
I stopped sending her climbing photos though about 10 years back because she was like, I get too scared.
I get anxiety just looking at your photos.
Yeah.
Me
too.
Yeah. Sounded like a good idea at the time. Oh my gosh.
Yeah. Let's do it again.
Yes. So I have a question because I'm completely ignorant when it comes to ice climbing. How do you know when you can climb some ice?
Yeah.
Like waterfall ice, right?
Great question.
Yeah.
So first of all, we're going to start at a certain elevation. Okay. That's like 101 because anything below that is what I call snow cone ice. It's slushy. You put an ice axe through and it just runs through and it sounds like a snow cone.
Okay. Yeah.
So that's a no bueno. That's a bad day.
Yeah, that's a bad day. Yeah.
So usually when you start getting around 10,000 feet to start is when you're getting solid ice. you're getting climbable ice.
And how are you getting to that 10,000 feet?
I've done it various ways. So you can hike in, right? The backcountry.
Carry all your shit.
It can be anywhere between a couple hours to a couple days, just getting to a climb.
Yeah.
People that have money, and I was never one of them, would helicopter in.
Oh,
you know, right. It's a little cheesy. I never went that route. It was pretty MacGyver, but that's one way. I had friends who also ice climbed, who were on search and rescue, who had SAR snowmobiles.
Oh, neat.
They snowmobile in, and I was like, actually, that's
kind of cool. Yeah.
Because I'm like hoofing it with all my packs. I'm like, and so, and actually, I also have friends who I don't ski. I don't know how to ski, but would ski in.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Yeah. Like, so I've seen it done all ways.
Gotcha. Okay. Yeah. And so you get to the 10,000 feet, and then I'm still curious, like,
usually around 12 is when 12? It starts getting good.
Okay.
Is when it starts getting like,
like
the show your roll gi.
Yeah.
That's show your roll gi ice.
But okay, so this is going to sound like a really stupid question, but
no stupid questions.
So this is going to sound, I'm still
I love it. I'm here for it.
But okay, so you're about to go on this, and you said you climbed waterfall ice.
Correct. So frozen waterfalls, or large, what we call columnar ice, which are just columns of maybe random ice in the backcountry.
Gotcha.
Becoming like off an overhanging protrusion.
Yeah.
Some kind.
Are you limited? I mean, obviously the height of the ice is the limitation, right? But are you limited as to how high you can go? Do you set up ropes? Do you set up, protection for falls? How does that work?
So there's single pitch climbs, which would be like the height of a climbing gym ceiling.
Okay. Yep.
Right?
Yep.
And that's a single pitch.
Yep.
Then there's multi-pitch climbs where basically you take that height, say maybe it's, 50, 60 feet. And you go 50, 60 feet, 50, 60 feet, 50, 60 feet.
Gotcha.
50, 60 feet, and you piggyback who's climbing and who's belaying.
Gotcha. Okay.
That's called multi-pitch, and that's across the board in rock and ice.
Gotcha.
I like the multi-pitch because that's when things start getting scary.
No
that's
kidding.
When it's like, okay, we're in or we're out.
Yeah.
Like there's no halvesies now.
Yeah. You hit the third pitch, you're looking at almost 200 feet. So you're up there. Yeah.
You're up there.
Yeah.
And so I really like the multi-pitch. I will say this, the falls in rock climbing, you might get a little banged up. You're going to get super scared.
Yeah.
There is no room for error in ice climbing. There is only one rule in ice climbing, and it is do not fall.
Wow.
In rock, you can fall.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
You can fall. Again, if you know how to fall right, just like with jujitsu, nothing's going to happen.
Right. Yeah.
Right. Says the girl with 30 screws in her shoulders.
I didn't want to bring it up.
There we go. So, but in ice, there is no room for error, period. And yes, you have protection and they're ice screws. You're screwing them into the ice. And I can send you a picture if you ever want to attach it or whatever.
Yeah.
Into the ice. And then you clip the rope into that.
Okay.
Yeah. But does anybody want to fall on a screw that's plugged into ice? I mean, the reality is, you should know your ice conditions. Shit happens.
Yeah.
I've seen huge columns of ice come down around me.
Whoa.
And it's like, that escalated quickly.
Yeah, no shit. Yeah.
I mean, do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
99% of the time, and where I just moved from in Oregon, I was climbing out at Smith Rock for the past 21 years. That's volcanic tuft. So it actually is brittle and it breaks off. It'll blow.
Wow.
Okay. Here in Idaho, God bless it, it's granite, and that's not going anywhere.
Nice.
That's the show your roll of rock is granite, like Yosemite.
Yeah.
Big walls, right? So that's all granite. Okay, that's not moving though.
Right.
That's not going to blow on you.
Right. Yeah.
Reading ice is like reading waves. I grew up on the Oregon coast surfing.
Yeah.
So there are wave conditions, right? And there are ice conditions, right? And yes, there's like websites and apps and things that you can test that, and you go up there and you knock on it and you're doing all the things, right? And what you don't want to see are certain fissures in the ice and things, because it's like, okay, if we put a screw in there, that's blowing.
Yep.
You know, and whatever screws you put in, you also have to rappel off of.
Oh gosh.
You know, and here's the thing that I want to preface this. 90% of climbing accidents are on rappel. They're going down, not up.
No kidding.
It is a big deal. Rappelling is way more dangerous than going up.
Huh.
So like, that's what I tell people. Like I've had, and I don't want to sound trite, just saying it so casually. They all die doing what they love. But every single one of my climbing friends who have died on, you know, El Cap or Half Dome or, you know, whatever, on rappel.
Wow.
Absolutely. Wow. So like, there is this kind of misnomer that it's like, oh, climbing is dangerous. You know, like my rappelling device can literally hold a Jeep. Like it's military rated.
Yeah.
Like, so it's like, if you have the proper gear and it's shiny and, you know, you check your gear, you check your ropes, all the things, it's unlikely.
Yeah.
You know, if you take a nosedive on a multi-pitch ice climb, that's a bad day.
Yeah.
That is a bad day. If you take a fall on a multi-pitch rock climb, you're going to cheese grater down. You're going to, you know, have some bruises and, you know, have some Instagram photos for your battle wounds or whatever the hell it is.
It's going to scare the shit out of you.
Yeah, every time. For sure.
Have you ever been in a situation where you're like, I want to use the right words, but maybe you bit off more than you could chew, or it was a bad route, or it was like, oh shit, this is a bad idea. Can you talk about that a little bit? Oh yeah, no, 100%.
Because we just can't do anything halfway, Alex. Like, I like night climbing a lot.
Oh wow,
I really do.
Yeah,
it's like rolling with your eyes closed. Wow. Like the sensory perception and depth and sensitivity to touch and feel is wild.
I'll bet. Yeah.
And, you know, when I night climb or when I'm still climbing a multi-pitch at night, I come prepared. You know, I have a headlamp and I have, you know, all the safety things and my emergency things and everything.
Yeah.
And I can think of one or two times that I just got stuck in very serious storms that just freaking blew in from nowhere. And I'm on the 5th pitch of a climb. It's dark. My hands are freezing, which means I'm at the point now where I'm not gripping. Like I'm falling to failure.
Wow.
Right. And so I'm like, this isn't looking good for the home team.
Yeah.
Like, like shit's getting real. This could escalate quickly.
Yeah.
I'm a little nervous. I'm getting the Elvis leg, right? That's what I call it, the sewing machine leg. Things are shaking, you know?
Yeah.
So like, I can think of one or two days that really I was like, this could end up being an IMAX movie. Wow. I'm not sure yet. I'll get back to you.
Yeah. That's scary.
I was at negative 22 degrees and I was ice climbing in the San Juan Mountains with my then boyfriend. And it literally, I mean, I've heard of freak storms, but I had never experienced one. It was a freak storm like I have never seen. And it was just like blackout.
Wow.
And the thing was like, it was maybe 4:00 during the day. So like, I thought we still have time. We can get down within an hour. You know, it's not going to be dark. So I had like nothing.
Yeah.
And like, you know, I didn't have my headlamp. I didn't have anything.
Oh my
But I'd never experienced like a freak blackout storm like that.
Yeah.
I mean, it felt like somebody turned off the lights.
Yeah. That's scary, man.
Yeah. Yeah. So I've been in situations like that where I'm like, all right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I always tell myself when I end up in bad spots, I'm like, life is a series of choices. That's how I ended up here.
And I made a bad one.
I made a bad one today.
And I mean, once or twice, it literally like the 2 times that I was like, those were bad days. I checked weather conditions. I did all the right things. And then it's just like, this is what I tell people, especially people I'm teaching how to climb. Nature bats last.
Yeah.
Major
Wow.
bats last. Like you can have all your little apps, which now all the cool kid climbers have.
Yeah.
All the millennial climbers and my cute little private lesson teen climbers. You're like, oh my God, you have the apps, the weather and like, all the things. But it's like you can still do all the right things, just like checking wave conditions.
Yeah.
And I grew up on the Oregon coast surfing. There's riptides.
Yeah.
Riptides are absolutely unpredictable. I call them give zero fucks waves.
Yeah.
Like they do not care. There's no feeling.
Yeah. Yeah.
Which is kind of what I like about it in the sense of that it's like the mat. It's like, no, this is an even playing field.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely. Amy and I go to Mexico a couple times a year. We just like to go sit on the beach and, do our thing. It's fantastic. I love it there. People are awesome. The place is awesome. But you have people that are out there doing water sports and without motors. They're using like personal like paddles and stuff like that. And I always think like, how much time has that person put into what they're doing right now? So if you have a couple doing a little kayak trip. Sure. And they have a 2-person kayak, which is an argument waiting to happen. A 2-person kayak never goes well.
That's the breakup machine. You never get on a tandem bicycle.
Ever.
Or a 2-person kayak. I broke up with a guy in Croatia in a 2-person kayak. In Croatia. Yeah. I remember that.
Yeah.
You're spot on, dude.
Yeah.
That's spot on.
Because like you said, like, I don't think I've ever checked weather conditions when I've been in Mexico. Ever. Not one time.
Because you're like, it's sunny.
Sunny. It's good.
Warm.
Yeah. And it's this time of year. What can happen?
Yeah.
Mother Nature doesn't give a fuck about
that's last.
What you have going on Monday. She doesn't care about, how many kids you have at home, who's going to miss you when you're gone. Like she'll just kill you. She'll just kill you.
100%.
Yeah.
100%. And I don't know. I've heard many of your podcasts. I'm so honored to be on the show. I just have to tell you, I really am. But, I've heard you talk about like the up and coming next generation in jiu-jitsu. I have my own mixed feelings about the next up and coming generation in climber, in climbing that are climbers. It's about to go into the Olympics for the first time ever.
Okay.
I don't know what I think right now about many things with the next up and coming spider monkeys. I'm seeing. Well, I have issues. I have a love-hate relationship with climbing gyms. First of all, very love-hate relationship.
Is it that they give people a false sense of security? Because that's what I feel. That's what I feel when I'm in there. Invincible.
So most of the climbing SAR or search and rescue calls are gym climbers.
No way.
Oh God, they're just it's the tap out shirt guy of climbing. They shouldn't be out there.
Yeah.
The thing is that I competed in indoor gym climbing in my late 20s. That again, it's like gi and no gi. Like that is its own skill set. But the kids that grow up in these nestled, coddled gym climbing environments, they have auto-locking belays that auto-lock like seatbelts.
Oh, wow.
So if like a jerky fall happens, it just auto-locks. So somebody could be sitting there, which I see all the time, and like the whole time I mean, I see, these kids smoking joints with one hand out at the park.
Yeah.
They're lazy.
Yeah. Yeah.
There's these padded, cushy floors in the climbing gyms where if they fell, it would feel like a cloud.
Right.
Okay. They don't have to learn rappelling inside the climbing gym. They don't have to learn building anchors when there's no anchors to clip into.
Yeah.
Out in the middle of nowhere.
Yeah.
Right? They don't have to learn self-rescue or rescue of another.
Oh, wow.
So I always tell people, they're like, yeah, I went to the rock gym. And I know this is totally snooty of me. FYI, disclaimer. Again, it's the St. Lord. Okay?
Yeah.
But they're like, I went to the rock gym. I'm like, no, you went to the climbing gym.
That's right. That's right. Yeah.
Because they are oranges and apples.
Yeah.
And I was climbing at a very high level in the climbing gym. I went outside. I got demoted down to white belt.
Wow.
I was a 4-stripe brown in the climbing gym.
Yeah.
And I got outside into like the real world, like Yosemite, which is the proven ground. Okay, that's the Abu Dhabi. Okay, that's big time.
Yeah.
Moab, okay, City of Rocks here in Idaho.
Yeah.
Like, and I was a white belt. And I was like, but I'm such a great gym climber. Like, oh my God, everybody should know me. And everyone's like, you know, all the old time rock climbers are like, the rocks don't give a shit.
Yeah.
And neither does gravity out here. And there's no auto locking carabiners.
Yeah.
You know, there's no cushy floor. There's no colored holds telling you where to go that look like crayons.
Yeah.
Like,
and oh, by the way, the ambulance is hours away.
Hours.
Yeah,
oh, by the way,
helicopter.
We're out of cell range.
Yeah. Yeah. So someone's
and the higher you go,
the
more you're out of cell range.
So someone has to get into cell range just to call the ambulance. That's hours away. Like you're on your own. You're on your own.
I look at Camp 4 now in Yosemite, which is just like, I don't. It's a freaking Motel 6. Like it's just a zoo now, and it's like the old climbers are just like, get off my lawn, you know?
Yeah.
Because I mean, that's where it all started. That was the breeding ground.
Yeah.
And I mean, I'm 47 and I'm even one of the youngins.
Wow.
You know, you get, like you said, the 70-year-olds out there that were big time. They were cruising the lines in the valley.
Yeah.
Like, I have now all the fluffy gear. They had none of that.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, they were hammering in freaking rusty screws from Uncle Sam's garage, man.
With a cigarette hanging out of their mouth.
Just stoned out of their gourds, you know?
I actually, I haven't been to a climbing gym in a long time. I always found it like fun. It was kind of therapeutic. You know what I mean? Like you're kind of scared, but kind of not kind of thing, you know?
Yeah.
But I remember I was in there one time with a friend of mine, and there was this group of climbers, and they were kind of practicing their lead climbing, right?
Yeah.
And one of them was about to rappel down, and the guy on belay, I could tell he'd seen some shit. Okay, he was in his mid-30s at the time. This is such a long time ago, but he's about in his mid-30s, and the guy's like, "Okay, you can let go." And the guy looks up and he yells this. He goes, "Do you swear to God you're hooked in?" And the guy's like, "Yes, I swear to God, I'm hooked in," because he was afraid as soon as he let go, his buddy was just going to drop. Yeah. That's a guy that's seen some shit, right? I mean, otherwise you'd be like, "Oh yeah, you're fine," you know. So yeah, there's a big difference between the old timers and the new schoolers.
Hear or see someone die next to you?
Yeah.
Shit's getting real.
Yeah,
you know. But you know, so I feel, connecting this back to jiu-jitsu, I feel so blessed that I was a climber before I ever started jits.
Yeah, no kidding. Okay.
Yeah.
How come?
It was the best thing I feel that I could have been walking into jiu-jitsu.
No kidding. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So first of all, you know, none of the guys, I mean, again, they were all like, you know, Marines, they're all old school Health Gracie guys, right?
Yeah.
So, I mean, they're like catch wrestlers and, you know, just like Goku shit, just old school, right? Stuff. Yeah. And like, I've had frostbite so many times in my fingers. My fingers are so gnarled from climbing. I can do spider guard all day. I will hang off their biceps with my toes like a rabid sloth.
Oh my gosh, that's funny.
Oh yeah. Like those boys are like, you are like a backpack from hell. I'm like, I will climb you like a damn tree.
Yeah.
Literally. Like it's so funny. Like, a world champion female that I went to go do a seminar with, she goes, "You're like a killer koala." And I was like, "I'll take that."
That is another T-shirt waiting to happen. We got to write that one down. The killer
koala.
Yeah,
the killer koala. Yeah. But I mean, my grips.
Yeah.
That is my thing. Like, I'm like, what? Because I'm used to sport with real consequence.
Right. Yeah.
If you let go.
Yeah.
You better be okay with taking a nosedive.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So, like, it's funny because everybody's like, "Oh, you know, my grips hurt or whatever." I know if I get my grips, you will die.
Yeah.
Like, you will die this time. I won't. Like, that's how that's going to go down. You know what I mean? Because it's like, I'm used to, if I let go with my grips, I could die.
Yeah.
Now I get to flip the script finally.
Yeah. No kidding. Oh, I love it. It's like, I love it.
Yeah. So, you know, all my boy brothers they call me Death Grips. That's why they call me Catwoman. They made up that name because they're like, Dude, she will cartwheel over your head and then like climb up you like a damn monkey.
That's awesome.
And then once she gets her grips, do not let that happen. Just for the love of God, don't let it happen.
Yeah.
So I actually see jujitsu like climbing. Like,
yeah.
I look at a hip pocket as a foothold.
Yeah. Yeah.
I look at a bicep for spider guard as a foothold.
Yeah.
And like the biggest compliment to me from any of my big dude brothers is they're like, you have 4 hands. you don't have 2 arms and 2 legs. You have 4 arms.
Yeah, well, I think a couple things come to mind when I think about stuff like that, because I've been working a lot on my foot strength, because like you said,
climbing will do it.
And well, the first thing I did was quit wearing shoes a lot. I wear 0 shoes, but so I stopped wearing the big heavy
toes.
Yeah. And
that
I
is such a
dig my toes into the mat. Yeah.
Yes, that is such a focus and theme in my classes is active feet. Active feet. Yeah. Strong toes, strong feet.
Yeah.
I tell my ladies, pick up towels.
Yep.
Right? All the things, because the thing is, if I make a connection, I don't just make a connection. I'm going to make an attachment.
Correct. Yeah.
I
like the way you said that. That's
cool. Not connecting.
Attaching, not connecting. I like that a lot. And how does another layer in your world, another layer is your yoga. So tell me how yoga has helped you. I mean, obviously with rock climbing, and to me it's obvious with jiu-jitsu, because when I roll with yogis, you know it. Like I know it, right? Yeah. So how does that? How is that? How did you find it before or after jiu-jitsu?
I found it in India. When I was there for the first time. Okay. So I mean, I've been doing yoga consistently since undergrad.
Wow.
So I truly believe that yoga honestly allowed me to walk away with only 30 screws in my shoulders after 8 years of training with OG Health Gracie guys.
Wow. Yeah.
Truly. Yeah. Like I truly believe that. I get the whole concept of don't use your assets because they can disappear. I get it. But my flexibility has saved me in jiu-jitsu.
Yeah.
And I'm talking against like 240-pound Navy SEALs, like big men.
Yeah.
And they will ask me things like, I don't know how you got out of that. And honest to God, it's not like I'm going to tell them this, but I didn't know either. I mean, truly. So I look at it as an injury prevention and keeping me in the game type of insurance.
Gotcha.
And there's moves in climbing that it's like, if you're not flexible, you're going to have a hard time nabbing that route.
Yeah. Let me ask you this. For somebody, I know the obvious question is like, just start. But for somebody like me, I'm as flexible as a 2x4. All right. I will bend. But it feels like I'm about to snap. So I had a doctor that was stretching me out once, and he had me on my back, and he was lifting my leg kind of like to stretch my hamstring. And he grabs my ankle and he says, "You know what this is?" I'm like, my ankle? He goes, "No, this is a joke." He goes, "You should be going way farther than this. Like my mobility is really limited. Always has been. Even when I was like a younger athlete, I was never I could never really touch my toes, stuff like that. Is there something going on like structurally that needs to be corrected, or what is that?"
So my yoga teacher in India, and they're mean there.
I bet.
They give zero fucks too. Yoga teachers in India are like Brazilians in Brazil. Okay. They're just like, you're on our turf now. Like we're going to snap you in half.
Yeah.
But he said people are born with one of 3 attributes. They're born with strength, speed, or flexibility, but nobody is born with balance. Everybody has to learn to stand up, and everybody has to learn to stay upright when they're 90.
Wow.
Nobody is born with balance. In our entire life, we have to work on balance. That's what allowed us as a baby to stand up, and that's what will prevent broken hips when we're 95 is balance. So chances are you were born with speed or with strength, right? You didn't get the flexibility card. I got the flexibility card, but I'm not fast at all.
Okay, gotcha.
At all,
yeah,
right?
Yeah.
So I'm actually a bigger and bigger believer, as I'm currently going through yoga teacher training, in using props. So So for instance, Bikram Chowdhury, who of course came up with Bikram yoga, a lot of people don't know this. He got into yoga because he was a professional power lifter. During a powerlifting meet in Calcutta, he snapped both of his ACL and MCL.
Wow.
He was not into yoga.
Yeah.
Big powerlifter. You should see like vintage photos.
Oh, yeah, I can imagine.
Yeah, he tried everything. I mean, he tried surgeries, he tried PT, he tried all the things. And somebody was like, there's the little Yoda down the street. And he finally was like, I want to get back to powerlifting.
Yeah.
Like, I'm desperate.
Yeah.
And so he started to work with this little man. And one of the things that I think is really interesting that he said is it took him 9 years to get into what we call fixed firm pose. 9 years. So he's like, I was a big beefcake power lifter. Like I was like you.
Yeah.
Like jujitsu, this will not be an overnight process.
Gotcha.
9 years it took him to get into that one posture.
Wow.
So it is interesting because I honestly see yoga and jujitsu as very similar in that way. It takes patience.
Okay. Yeah.
It's patience.
Yeah.
And in India, the core belief around yoga, I don't care if you're doing like, Ashtanga or hot yoga or whatever, is if you are stretching below body temperature, meaning in a room or an environment that is below your resting body temperature, your ligaments and muscles are considered cold. You should not stretch in an environment that is below body temperature.
And do you recommend taking time to kind of acclimate to that environment so the muscles get to that temperature?
It'll take 10 days.
Oh, wow.
10 days to get used to the heat.
Gotcha. Okay. Yeah.
Every yoga teacher, Calcutta, Mumbai that I've traveled, all of them have said 10 days. And India's just damn hot anyway. So it's like you don't even really get a choice. It's not like you can put on the air conditioner in India, right? So it's just hot. But so everybody just practices outside because you are in the hot box. Yeah. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But I would say first and foremost, patience, just like jujitsu.
Yeah.
This is a long haul thing.
Yeah.
Right? The second thing is make sure that you are stretching in an environment that is above resting body temperature, even if that's like in the steamy bathroom after a shower. Okay. It's hot, it's humid in there.
Yeah. Okay.
Like, don't do it outside in the cold. Almost all of my athletes that come in that say have been, skiing or snowboarding or running out in the snow or something like that, all of their injuries happened when their muscles got cold. Oh. So in other words, so this is something to think about. What I would tell them is when you're done with your run, don't put your back against the tree and stretch there in the snow. Yeah. That's not the place to do it.
Yeah.
Go home, crank that hot shower, stretch either in or, in the shower or in the bathroom after the shower.
Yeah.
That's the place to stretch.
Gotcha.
You're going to sprain muscles if you are going in the cold. I mean, and again, that's not just like below body temperature. That's like if it's, they're out in the snow. Yeah. I know that the Wim Hof stuff is super hot right now. Excuse the pun. Super cold, yeah. I know it's super popular right now, and I'm not negating the whole brown fat theory and what that can do for you. But I know that being in the cold is not the place to stretch.
Gotcha. Yeah.
So I would say, as a student, give yourself time at a minimum 10 days. And I always say it takes 21 days to make a habit.
Yep.
So I kind of extend that even and say, give yourself 21 days.
Yeah.
Right.
Okay.
To get used to a hot room and kind of work your way up. Maybe you just stretch in the bathroom that's steamy and humid for 2 weeks. And then you're like, maybe I'll try a hot yoga class.
Yeah. Okay.
Something where you're it's baby steps.
Yeah. Well, I'm in Arizona. I could just step outside.
Oh, well, never mind.
It's like 1,000 degrees out right now.
Never mind. You're living in the hot box.
But you know what? You know what's funny about Arizona is we are in almost perfect weather for like 8 months out of the year. It's like skin temperature. You know, we get a couple cold days here and there. You know what I mean?
That's the perfect place to start a practice outside even.
Yeah.
You know, you're not cold, you're not chilled,
Yeah.
it's not snowy. But you know, Alex, one or two quick talking points, because you heard me say that I was like, with Dominic, he didn't do his talking points.
That's right.
But he was like, But somebody asked me this question the other day, and I thought, oh, I'll tell Alex this, because this is kind of interesting.
Yeah.
Somebody said to me, besides the physical attributes of like grips, center of gravity placement, connection versus attachment of feet in climbing, what emotional or psychological things did you bring from climbing into jiu-jitsu?
That's a great point.
And I thought I would just quickly download that really quick.
Yeah, absolutely.
I think the first thing is being able to control panic. Because, like I said, I didn't have a training partner that wasn't a dude, and almost all of them were 220 on up.
Yeah.
And I'm not a small woman. I'm 5'10". I'm not tiny.
Right.
But coming into the sport brand new and being the only girl in that environment, like I would feel, I have no Me Too story, thank God.
Yeah.
But like I have no trauma background.
Right.
I have no trauma background. And even I a couple times was like, I could have a panic attack right now.
Yeah.
Like, being smothered by a very gentle giant, but nonetheless, pressure's pressure.
Yep.
Right? I've been taught as a woman my whole life to not get in this situation. Now I'm doing it intentionally.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
But it's like climbing taught me to breathe through fear.
Yeah.
It taught me to manage fear.
Mm.
It taught me to also say no to unsafe climbing partners and training partners.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it taught me boundaries, because
Yeah.
like I've had people ask me to climb, and I've kind of like, you watch the spazzy guy roll and you're like, yeah maybe not, maybe not. You know, I, would look at people and their style of belaying as they're, smoking a joint on the phone. I'm like, yep, nope, I'm going to pass on climbing with you, because I don't want you to be the person to call my mom.
Right. Yeah.
You're not the person I want to call my mom.
Yeah.
So I learned how to say no to people without feeling bad about it.
Yeah.
Which most women have that problem.
Yeah. Yeah.
They feel, they're like, I don't know, or they say yes and they wish they hadn't, and then they roll with the spazzy guy and then it was a bad experience.
Yep.
I'm just like, yeah, no. And they're like, what? And I'm like, not personal.
Yeah.
Not personal.
Yeah.
But like, I can spot somebody who's unsafe, and that has come through climbing.
It's
very helping create good boundaries.
Yeah, that's very important to learn. And if you, and the earlier you learn that, the happier you're going to be, the better experiences you're going to have, right?
You're going to have longevity.
Yeah.
Especially as maybe, like I said, I'm not small, but I was small at my old gym.
Yeah.
The smaller opponent, but so I would say that those are things that I brought from climbing into jiu-jitsu: managing fear, managing anxiety, saying no to unsafe partners, a certain physical fitness condition, good grips, feet that know how to connect versus attach, how to look for climbing holds, and that includes biceps and hips, and behind the knees. Like they're all climbing holds to me. And so there's a lot of things that I feel are crossovers between climbing and jiu-jitsu. Hips, grips, managing fear, breathing, learning how to breathe. I teach all my ladies how to breathe for first class. I'm like, here's what's going to happen. You will panic. You will panic. That's a given. And 2 out of 3 of you on the mat have a trauma history I don't need to know about, but that's a statistic. I dodged that statistic. I'm blessed. But 2 out of 3 of you are here with a hidden story. The nicest guy here in the world will trigger that unknowingly. You must learn to breathe. If you cannot breathe, you will make mistakes. Mistakes have consequences. They're dire in climbing. They're not dire in jiu-jitsu, but they still hurt.
Yeah, they do hurt. They do hurt. Yeah. And I think if you take, like, if we were to really study mistakes in jiu-jitsu and what they lead to, or how they start. It usually starts from either a situation where you're brand new, you have no idea, or you panicked. That's really it. Like if you're in a bad situation, if you're in a bad spot, like if you're in a mounted position, drives me crazy when I see my students in the mounted position. But the first thing I tell people, you got to relax. I know it sucks, but you have, like you said, you got to breathe through it and you have to figure out how to relax.
How to relax.
Right. Yeah.
The problem. So like what I tell students is it's super weird to me that I'm aware of and shut me down. You're a black belt, you're a veteran in this sport. Be like, Almine, you're full of shit, right? I'm totally all about being told I'm full of shit. Okay. Right. I'm here for it. I'm here to grow and learn. Be like, Almine, you're full of shit.
Right.
But you go into a Taekwondo academy, you go into a karate academy, they teach you how to breathe. Breathe with the punches, you breathe with a kick, right?
Yeah.
Jiu-jitsu gyms do not teach you how to breathe.
You're absolutely right.
I've never, ever gone to one class ever. And whenever I travel, I always visit other academies.
Yeah.
I have never visited an academy that has ever addressed how to breathe. They just say, yeah, you should probably slow your breathing down. It's like, what does that mean?
What does that mean? Yeah.
What does that mean?
Yeah.
Should I, or, what does that mean?
Yeah.
Nobody teaches people how to breathe. That is class 1 with me.
I love that. Yeah.
And half the time we learn nothing else but breathing class 1.
I like that.
And they're like, I didn't know I was going to yoga. I'm like, this is involuntary yoga, bro.
Yeah, that's true.
Like if you don't learn how to breathe now, involuntary yoga, you're going to have big problems with, Doc over here on your ass.
Yeah. That's a very good point. I wrote it down because you're absolutely right. I think we do a poor job of teaching people how to fall.
Amen.
Right?
Fall and breathe.
Breathe. Those are the two. Those are the two are going to be a
100%,
focus.
Alex.
Yeah.
100%. And I taught a co-ed class the other night, and I said we're going to have a breathing class, and guys are like, oh. Fuck. They're like, we got the girl teacher. One of the guys was like, are we be doing yoga shit? And I'm like, maybe. Okay. But you're getting twisted up like a pretzel and you sound like a hyena. Like I have to tell guys that all the time. I'm like, bro, sissy loves you. You sound like, an animal in heat. I don't know what you're doing. Okay. You're like a rhino. You're.
Yeah.
I said, oh, and P.S. I know you're panicking and I know I have you. Why? Because you're advertising it through your breathing.
Yeah. That's chest breathing, right? That chest breathing. Yeah.
So it's not just about like calming the panic for you. It's about getting a great poker face that Lady Gaga would love. It's like, that is the only thing I've ever cared about. I don't care about fastest tap awards. I don't care about medals in any competitions I've done. I want to make sure in every single competition photo, my mouth is closed.
Yeah. Mine is not. I looked at photos of me. I'm like, do I ever shut my mouth? Like ever? It's just, I'm a mouth breather. But that's something I need to fix. We all have stuff, right?
We all have stuff. And I had an instructor who is, I would love to hear him on your podcast. I don't know if he's left Taiwan.
Oh, okay.
Little bitty black belt. And his goal, as he says, he hardly ever talks. And what he always says is, all I want to be is the world's most unassuming black belt.
Oh, that's so cool.
He ever says.
Yeah.
He has not 1 ounce of muscle on him.
Wow.
He is the most terrifying butterfly guard player I have ever met.
Yeah.
Right? And you just little guy, okay, just puttering, right? And he, God bless him, worked with me one-on-one for a while. And he never let me roll without a mouthful of water.
Oh, wow.
He goes, if you get my gi wet, it's push-ups.
Oh, shoot.
Oh, yeah. And he spends now most of the year, I think at least 7 to 8 months of the year in Taiwan at a monastery.
Oh, wow.
Black belt jiu-jitsu, avid Tai Chi student.
Yeah.
I guess I would say.
Yeah.
He's very into the history of Taiwan. But he would have me take a big gulp of water, turn on the buzzer for 10 minutes and say, if there's a drop that gets on my gi, we are stopping, you're doing push-ups, and we're resetting.
Holy crap.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, my
So
God.
he taught me how to breathe.
Wow.
So, like, I want zero mouth breathing. Zero.
Gotcha. Yeah.
When I'm breathing.
Yeah. I know. I like that. I like that a lot.
When I'm climbing or doing jujitsu, the minute I feel my mouth open, I know I'm not in a good place. I'm like, okay, I'm panicking now. How do I control that? I can control only what I can control. We're going to start with the breath.
Yeah.
He who controls the breath. This is what Professor Connolly told me, my little butterfly Yoda. He who controls the breath controls the outcome.
Wow.
Whoa.
I love that.
I've never heard a whisper out of that man.
Wow.
Well, I've never heard a sound out of that man when we've rolled.
Wow.
It's like satin.
That's so cool. That's so cool.
He who controls the breath controls the outcome.
I love it.
Stop at that.
I love it. We're gonna end with. We've been going for 2 hours. Can you believe
I love
it?
this, Alex. I'm so honored. I'm
Yes.
so tickled to be here.
I'm excited.
Love it.
So when I started following you first. And,
I'm not cool.
Yeah,
I'm not worthy.
Yeah, no, you really are. So the reason why I was like flipping through something, and then there's this girl in a gi, and she's got a bloody nose and a big smile on her face, and I'm like,
I'm a Nate Diaz blader. God, I'm a blader. It's so embarrassing. It's almost a joke now.
That's hilarious.
Like, there's Nate Diaz. Here she comes. Here we go.
Yeah. So then I started kind of scrolling through, and I'm like, oh my God, you're really interesting, and you got a lot of stuff going on. And then those dogs, oh my God, the dog videos were hilarious. It was funny because like, I think there was one where one of them like made a noise, and the other one's like, oh, are we howling? I guess we're howling. And they both start howling in the car. And I'm like, oh my gosh, I don't know that I have the patience for huskies, but they were cute.
I don't have children. Not only do I climb high, scary things, I wrestle large men, and then I have these like two creatures like talking down and judging me all day. That's what I tell people. You are more than welcome to judge me, but nobody is going to judge me as badly as me dogs. Nobody.
Oh
we
my
got
God.
nothing on huskies.
This has got to be one of my favorite. This has got to be top 5 favorite podcasts that I've ever done. This is so
Alex,
much fun.
I'm truly honored. We
Yes.
can talk anytime about being chased by lions, huskies.
I'm gonna send my wife. I'm gonna send my wife up to one of your camps. Whenever you do one, I'm gonna send her up there because I think it'd be. She goes to the ones here. There's some in a little town called Prescott, which is beautiful. But they rent out this big place, and all the women go up there. It's really good. And it's so funny because Amy is like so excited to go, and she packs like a day early. She never does that, and then she's like all into it. And I'm like, so how'd it go? She's like, well, day 1 was really cool. I slept all day 2. And then they
going to the seminar. Yeah.
But we're always on the go. So like if we ever like stop, we just go to sleep. We just fall asleep if we ever stop. So yeah, so that's it. She's so funny, but I'd love to send her up to one of yours. That'd be really cool.
I'm so honored.
Yeah.
I'd love to meet her.
Yes.
Thank you.
Oh my gosh, it'd be so cool.
Thank you for having our household on your show.
Well,
and by the way, Dominic hates heights.
Does he really? Yeah.
He hates climbing. He hates heights. So people just like assume he's like also into climbing.
Yeah.
No, absolutely not.
I don't blame him. I get anxiety from the pictures. I couldn't be up there. Well, listen, let everybody know where they can find you on social media or anything like that. That's it. Yeah, I'm sure they've had it. So let us know where we can find you, social media wise, anything like that.
Yeah. I just moved to Idaho, so I opened up my practice here. Nice. So it's one word, Idaho Sports Acupuncture. That's my Instagram handle. Oh. I also have a personal handle. I don't post as much on there. Almine Barton, one word. I'm at Eagley, Boise, which is the gym that I coach at. Dominic is a full-time coach there. That's nice. Where he works. And I'm here for it, Alex, whatever it is.
I love it.
Party.
I love it.
Let's party.
If you and Dominic are ever in Arizona, I want to get you in the studio because I think it'd be a party in here. It'd be so much fun. We're totally doing it. And Almine, thank you so much.
I love this.
Thank you so much for being on the show. We're going to do this again.
Where are you in Arizona?
I'm in Mesa, Arizona, just outside of Phoenix.
Oh, sure. Okay.
Yeah. So if you're ever out here for a seminar, anything like that, come into a competition, please hit me up and we will make this happen.
Thank you, sir. Thank you for having me on
My
the show.
pleasure. You take care.
You too, Alex.
Bye now.
Mm-hmm.